because my tripod does not hold my phone in portrait orientation. So this is very strange. And, I got to be honest, I don't think this is going to my Twitter, but there's nothing I can do about it at this point. So, hi, I'm very passionate about helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one that you had envisioned for yourself. But you know what? The time passes regardless. Time passes for everybody, even the healthy people. And I got to tell you guys, it's I learned, so off topic. I learned a valuable lesson about the passage of time. I did a 100-day dance challenge, and it ended, I want to say the end of September, but it was so daunting when I started. I'm like, oh my God, 100 days. That's so long. But you know what? It went like that. It's crazy. But that's not what I wanted to talk about tonight. With Thanksgiving literally around the corner, a lot of people deal with holiday social anxiety. Well, they probably deal with social anxiety overall, but the holidays, sometimes you got to go be around a group of people. Um, I'm very outgoing. I'm the kind of person, if I'm in the right mood, I can start a conversation with a fence post. I mean, literally can go into any situation if I'm in the mood and strike up a conversation with anyone in the room. That being said, I still occasionally get social anxiety. I'm actually really introverted, which people never believe me, but just because you're outgoing, just because someone is outgoing, it doesn't mean they're not introverted. Being an extrovert means you get your energy from being around other people. Being an introvert means you get your energy, you get renewed by being alone. So it has nothing to do with being outgoing. But yeah, I'm very introverted. And once in a while, even with people that I know really well, because frankly, I don't accept invitations if I don't know you really well, which probably leaves me out from a lot of really cool people. I'll be honest, but that's just where I'm at. But there's times when the anxiety will get the best of me, and you know what? You want to know what social anxiety is? We're projecting our opinion of ourselves onto other people. We assume that they see us in the same light that we do, and usually we don't see ourselves in the most flattering light. So here are some tips from psychcentral.com on how to cope. Number one, don't expect anything. Don't expect it to be the best night ever, because it won't. There's no such thing as perfection. But don't, people get this weird idea of having the picture perfect holiday. But you know what? That only exists in Hallmark movies and magazine spreads. That's not reality. And logically that that's not reality. So if that's what you're hanging your hat on, is having this perfect holiday, then you know what? You're going to be unhappy, and everyone around you is going to be equally miserable, because you're aiming for something that doesn't exist. Now, the flip side of that, don't go into it expecting it to be a disaster, because if that's your attitude, then guess what? It's going to be a disaster. Just try to go into the situation with an open heart and an open mind, and just take it as it comes. Number two, you need to remember that you're going to be just fine. I promise. No matter how the night turns out, even if you drink too much and like dancing on the Thanksgiving table and make a complete ass out of yourself, it has nothing to do with who you are as a human being. You'll probably be really damned embarrassed if that's what you did, but you'll get over being embarrassed. Whatever happens that night, no matter how the event turns out, it has nothing to do with who you are as a human being. And if you're pretty comfortable with who you are, you're going to survive it. It's just one night. It's just one night. And even if you do make a complete ass out of yourself, it's one night. I guarantee you that everyone that you embarrass yourself in front of, they've embarrassed themselves in front of people too. And they've all survived it. If you're worried about family tensions, that can be tough. You can pick your friends. Your family's just who they are. Set a time limit. Uncle Bob's going to be there. And Uncle Bob's he's just an ass. And it's going to be a battle all night long. You're not in the mood. So you know what? Don't let Uncle Bob ruin the night for the rest of the family. Newsflash, they know he's an ass too. Promise. But tell yourself, you know what? I'm going for an hour. I'm going for 2 hours, whatever time limit you set. And then no matter how bad Uncle Bob's behavior is, you know, you got a time limit. You know, you only have to do this for a certain short time frame. What's an hour or two out of your life, truly? An hour or two to make someone in your family happy by showing up. It should be worth it to you. When it's time for you to go, though, just go. Thank you for a lovely evening. I had a great time. I've got to go. Good night. And just leave. Don't make a drama. Don't make any scene. Don't say anything about I'm leaving because he's an ass. Just be polite. Be a good guest. Thank the host and hostess and just leave. Number 3, you need to remember that most people are caught up enough in their own nonsense. They're not worried about you. I hate to break it to you, but people really don't think about us as much as we like to think they do. They really don't. So you go and Uncle Bob's being an ass. Okay. You knew that was probably going to happen. Why play into it? Just because you're invited to somebody's drama doesn't mean you have to sit down and watch the play. Ignore him. If you can't ignore him, you know what would be a great way to deal with this? Get up and go help with the dishes. Get up and go help in the kitchen. Go play with the kids. I have been to very few Thanksgivings where there's not something you can do to get away from one person who's a jackass. You also need to remember, no matter what Uncle Bob says or does to you, I have no Uncle Bob for the record, so I'm not throwing Uncle Bob under the bus, but no matter what that person says to you or does to you, really it only carries as much weight as you choose to give it. So if your Uncle Bob is a horse's ass, don't let that horse's ass dictate how your night's going to go. Don't let that horse's ass, certainly don't let him dictate how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself. It's one opinion, and it's opinion from someone that you know is a horse's ass. So why worry about that? Number 4, you need to tell your inner critic to shove it. Give the bitch the night off. And I know that's so much easier said than done. But you know what? No one is ever going to be as hard on you as you are on yourself. So give your inner critic the night off. And remember, when that little voice starts, it's lying to you. It really is. I have said for years that if I could give any gift in the world to my friends and my loved ones, it would be so that they could see themselves the way that I see them and see what amazing people they are. And I've told many of my friends, if you could see yourself the way that I do, you'd never bash my friend again. Being said, I have a pretty good inner bitch. Number 5, don't buy into toxic behavior. Like I said, just because you're invited to a play, you don't have to sit down and enjoy the drama. Don't play into it. How other people treat you, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. It truly is, because my mother was a very gracious woman, and my mother was a definite lady in the coolest old-fashioned sense of the word. She was strong. She could hold her own with anybody. But she was a lady. And what the hell was I going to say? Crap, I completely forgot. Oh, well, it's just been that kind of day. What the hell was I going to say? I don't know. But if you're at a party and someone is trying to drag you into their toxic BS, don't play it. Go find something else to do. If nothing else, excuse yourself, go in the bathroom and start an internet chat with a friend for a few minutes. Don't stand there so long that someone comes looking for you, of course. But give yourself that space to just take an emotional step back and regather your thoughts. And remember, this is very, very, very temporary. You need to let things go. That's number 6. You need to let things go. Look, you can't control other people. You can't control what other people are going to say or what they're going to do. But you can learn to control how you choose to respond. And I like the word respond over react, because react, that's that gut instinct. That's oh, you Uncle Bob, you son of a bitch, I'm mad at you. Take a moment, take a deep breath, go in the other room, take a few deep breaths and refocus. Okay, I'm not going to play into this. Just choose to respond better. Choose before you go. Tell yourself, okay, this might happen. Don't tell yourself it's going to happen, but this might happen. And if this does happen, this is how I'm going to respond, and find something positive. I'll go play with the kids. I'll go do the dishes. Very unlikely Uncle Bob's going to follow you into the kitchen because he might get pressed into work. But when you're talking about these kind of functions, especially with family, which can be such a challenging thing sometimes. I'm so fortunate, but I know a lot of people who aren't. You need to set your boundaries and stick with them, which is the time limit. That's a boundary. That time limit is a boundary. You set that. You don't need to announce it, but you have that boundary. Leave when your time limit is up. And if Uncle Bob brings up, how come you've never had any kids, and you don't want to talk about why you've never had any kids, just smile politely and say, you know what, I don't want to discuss it at Thanksgiving dinner. I've got other things to be thankful for. I don't want to think about that right now, and just walk away. You don't owe anybody an explanation for anything. But set your boundaries. I don't want to discuss this. This is not the time. My favorite for something like this, and I've not had to use it often, but this is not the time or the place to have this conversation. Just walk away, because they're going to look like an ass if they chase after you. And here's my bonus tip. This one's just for me. Here's a good conversation starter, even if you're with family, because there's always someone there that you don't know very well. I mean, even when we have, we'll set out. My family's pretty big, but we'll set out where we're just going to be family, and then it ends up not being just family. There's always someone else that comes in. We're happy with that. That's not a complaint. It's really nice that we're fortunate enough to be able to do this. But find somebody at your party and pay them a sincere compliment. Cousin Debbie, you look really nice. Your dress is awesome. Where'd you get it? Or if you're a guy, hey, I like your car. Whoever, there's got to be somebody there. If you're a guy, there's got to be someone there who has a vehicle that you like. Find something to compliment, a sincere compliment to pay somebody. That's a fantastic icebreaker. It's a great conversation starter. And you know what? We like people who like us. So when you start out on a positive note, your stock's going to go up with that person. I promise. It just makes you more likable. We like people who like us. It's just the way it goes. Anyway, yeah, this sitting down thing is really freaking weird. I've been doing live streaming for a couple of years now, and I've never sat down. I don't think I've ever sat down. Yeah, it's weird, but this is the parameters that I have to work with, so I'm gonna get used to it. But I hope you'll have a great night. And if you have any questions, the only place you're gonna find me on social media is on Twitter. And yeah, you can probably judge me for that, but at Alaskan Courtney, I try to be very responsive. But I'll be honest, my account, it's not huge. I'm not somebody. I'm just a very average person living in the middle of nowhere trying to deal with health issues. But I do have a decent sized account, and sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. So if I don't respond right away, just interact with me a little bit. Tell me, hey, I caught you on Haps, and I'll definitely respond. And of course, please subscribe to my Haps channel if you have not done so. And have a great night. I will be back Wednesday at 5 o'clock Alaska time. Thank you. Good night. Is it over?